Welcome to Wednesday Comics.
Brought to you by rootsoftheswampthing.com and Siouxpercon 2018 Return of the Con.
Hey everyone, keep turning those pages.
Welcome to Wednesday Comics. To my right, we have the one and only Alex. How you doing?
Hello everyone.
And across from me, the one himself, Garrett. How you doing?
Feeling great.
I think I just gave you both the same nicknames, though.
That's okay.
It's this and blasting in my ears. Nobody can hear it on the show, but we had the lowly Phil Collins of Genesis carrying us into that show, and I am
the one and only Marvin.
I am in the air tonight. Himself,
Oh,
Marvin.
there it is.
You know in that song he talks about he sees the guy like drowning and the guy doesn't help him, right? Do you think that wouldn't happen here, right? We're all friends, right?
Yeah.
I'm asking for a friend.
You know, because of the hangover, when I hear that song, all I think about is a giant tiger now.
Oh,
And then get punched in the face.
yeah, that happens, definitely. This is Wednesday Comics, your comic book podcast. We are here with the end of year 2, beginning of year 3. They don't make that many of those comics, right? There's Batman year 1 and year 2. They don't go year 3. But by that point,
I've seen year 3.
Oh, has there? What book?
Well, it's Batman and Robin year 3.
Oh, okay. Well,
So-
is this what we're doing now? Now we're Batman and Robin. You know how like in the animated series it was Batman the
Well,
animated
no,
series.
you're Alfred.
What was season 3 of Batman?
You're
animated series?
Hush.
Didn't they go to Batman and Robin?
So Batman and Robin, then
New Adventures.
Well, yeah, but Batgirl shows up in season 3.
Can't put her on the titles because it's the 90s.
That's where
Of
we're
course,
at
yeah.
right now. We're in the new
Because
series.
then eventually when we get to season 4, we'll get Nightwing will be officially added to the roster.
Yeah,
And then we'll
And
get pushed
Tim-
into the future 60 years.
and then season
Wednesday
5
Comics Beyond.
were canceled.
Of course.
Yeah,
Because they only used to do, what was it, 67 episodes? Like, animation only was able to do a certain amount of episodes before they couldn't get a new season, but that's ancient now.
Oh, really? I know they try to go 100 to do the syndication. So,
If we're Wednesday Comics Beyond, can I be the dog?
what? Oh, in Batman Beyond?
Yeah. Sorry. Alex
You
didn't
can.
get that reference. Titus. The real Titus.
Well, I was going to say no Titus. From,
Titus is from the future.
Whoa, I just noticed I showing you the answers. Hopefully nobody looked at those.
we weren't even looking. We were too busy dancing over here.
We are
all shit
here
anyways.
with a special episode. No reviews this week. Once again,
Those
read
are the
your
answers
books
to the questions.
and form your own opinions. I picked up a lot of, actually, for the free talk. Why don't we just pick up, I'm talking about what we picked up today. Or talk about comic books in general. We're going to talk about our top 5 ongoing books here in a second, and then we'll go on to a game to end the show. Did I bring it up here? I didn't bring it up here. I did pick up that, what was that book called?
Shanghai Blue?
Yes, Shanghai Red.
Was it good? I picked it up.
I didn't read it. I mean, I got it.
Okay, I picked it up. It looked that
It looks
art,
good.
that
Yeah.
cover was really good. I thought, I'll get it.
That was one that I saw on the shelf, and I mentioned on the forecast. I was like, "This thing looks like it might be good." The art looks like it's.
It's scratchier. It's more pencily than.
Trying to think of it. Yeah, it's kind of like oil paints, kind of almost kind of like the colors meshed together.
Yeah.
Looks
Almost
good.
makes me think of is that Francavilla? Not that vibrant color, just the drawing wise looks like that.
Yeah, so I'm excited to check that out. I got that. I got the Huge this week. What else came out this week?
801. Amazing
Gideon
Spider-Man
Falls
801. Gideon
Gideon
Falls number
Falls.
4.
I did
Yeah.
get that sweet cover with that.
You did?
Yeah, it's going to go up in the
I wonder
studio.
who put it in your
Demon?
box. Some fucking god.
Hey. Thank you. Notice how that was lower than anything in the show. That the noise reduction might even take that out.
Swinging Low, Sweet Chariot.
Sweet low. And then what did you get? 801 Spider-Man.
Got Amazing Spider-Man 801.
That's
Hopefully
the
it
last
picks up from
Sandslot.
800.
It's got a lot. It's got a low bar, so it can really climb.
All
it.
it has to do is actually just tie the. Doesn't even have to have any action. Just tie the characters in a nice little bow, and then hand it off to Nick Spencer. It doesn't have to be anything static. Just be like, hey, I had a good run, everybody. Thanks.
What's the girl character that Dan Slott created?
Anna
Marconi.
Marconi.
What if the last panel is her handing Spider-Man the mask saying, "Go be Spider-Man"? Is that a good send-off?
As long as Nick Spencer's first page is her falling off a building.
Yeah, let me save you.
So we have
Oh,
801
no.
and then 802 Nick Spencer jumping on with Ryan Otley. And then they'll do a arc together. And then after Ryan Otley, Ramos is coming on board to do an arc, which, yeah. I know. This is the thing. I saw that. I
For
saw,
those who couldn't see me, my face went.
They're trying to bridge the gap, though.
it just comes out
Keep
too much.
readers and get.
It just comes out too much that Outlet can't keep up with it.
If
They gotta get
if
something
it's kind of like what Batman does, where it's here's 5 issues as a certain artist, fine. I do sometimes I like Ramos art. Just depends on how big he makes their eyes, how big the faces are, how yelly he makes J. Jonah Jameson.
else. I think you would concur, and I think if it's exciting and funny and the Spider-Man you want to read, then Ramos art it's good enough for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think I'm going to check that out. I know you're getting it. You're ready to get it anyways. You're going to read your brother's copy.
No,
He's gonna get his own.
Oh, you're going to buy.
I started with Venom. Venom was my first dipping my toes into the Spider-Verse.
Venom.
I'm not going to live with him forever.
Venom number 3.
2.
2 came out today.
Yep.
Gotta check that out. Wait a second. That came out
That was
last week.
last
No,
week.
it was it last week.
Venom 2 was last week.
It was on
3
our.
comes out next week.
It was on our.
Oh,
comic
really?
shelf
I didn't know
that's
that because issue 1 came out like at the beginning of May,
I know
and
it's
then it
every
was
2 weeks.
month and a half. Really?
Yeah, it's Marvel. Marvel money.
I don't, I
Hello.
don't think Venom
I'm not gonna
1
tell
to
you they're
2
doing it
was
once.
2 weeks though.
I think it was
Wow.
last week. Venom 2.
Well, Venom 3 is coming out next week, so it's going to be start being 2
So,
weeks.
okay, yeah, I'll agree to that. Then
Justice League number 2. I didn't get a copy sold out, but you guys.
I got it, but literally not that excited for it. I was very disappointed in issue 1.
There was one. Excuse me. There was one copy left. It was a variant cover, but it was $50, and I don't think that.
Was
me-
it the Martian Manhunter looking like
No,
a
it was just a
gorilla?
regular cover for the first issue, except it had nothing on it. So,
Oh, like the Virgin covers?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. No,
So-
wait, no, I'll just let me write on there Justice League.
I was like, yeah, can we make this $2.99 now? Oh no, $3.99. Excuse me, $3.99. Nowhere to.
I'll admit,
On the line at selling your soul.
JL would be fine if they actually can just if you're going to build up to this bad guy teaming up, I want it to be that first arc. Let the Justice League fight them. They don't have to, destroy them, but do something cool. Don't
Well-
build it up for 28 issues. Then be like, we're going to go to
Give me
Mars.
Red issue 2. What they're going to do is they're probably going to do that thing that you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think the way they came about in issue 1 was just bad.
I saw some art from issue 2, and it looks pretty good because it's Jorge.
Jimenez.
And I think that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a combination of Jorge's art carrying those issues. And who did the first issue? Jim Chung? Right?
Yep.
I mean, both artists are great. So I think that's what you're going to have to get it for a second until they eventually figure out to tell smaller stories. I think it's just going to start out big. And then eventually it'll get smaller. But I'm excited for more of those spin-offs. Odyssey, Dark. I think those look more like what I'm looking for. And maybe what you're looking for too. Odyssey especially.
I don't know what Odyssey is. I don't know who's on that team.
It's like the Justice League
Space team.
Space Force.
Wow, that sounds horrible.
It is Darkseid. Who else is on that team?
Cyborg.
Cyborg. Jessica Cruz.
Yep.
Hang on, Darkseid's on that team?
Well, we don't know. Well, he's helping them in the first arc because there's something that happens that they both join forces. I don't think he's actually on the team. It
But
just says when it comes down to it, will you let Darkseid? Is he? It's kind of like in Seventh Attorney when the bad guy starts helping him out. It's like, can you really trust this guy?
Yeah,
It's kind of
okay.
like that. So.
Okay.
The art looks great. It's from Steven Sajak. Is that his name?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. And then Justice League Dark. Everything I've seen of Justice League Dark looks like it's creatively trying new things. It looks like really weird, like it should be.
There's Detective Chimp in it, doesn't
Detective
Hell
Chimp. We
yeah.
have, I
That's
think
all you
Constantine,
need.
right?
Constantine,
Swamp
Wonder
Thing,
Woman.
Wonder Woman. Zatanna?
Zatanna Zatara.
God, it looks so good.
Yeah,
That's my most.
that's the one I think I'm most excited for is that just because it's characters I don't know a lot about and it's doing supernatural stuff.
Well, DC hasn't really touched them except for one shot here or there saying oh, we have a Justice League Dark team.
And it's James Tynion the fourth, who is coming off a dark, just give me a dark Detective Comics run, which we thought was great. So it's another team book. So I thought it's going to be good. I hope so.
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, and Swamp Thing came out this week on an issue of Damage. Number 6.
Swamp Thing is killing it. Damaged. He's in Justice League this week, by the way. Spoilers. And he's going to be Justice League Dark.
Do you see a burning bat tower anywhere near here?
What does that mean?
Issue
I
3.
don't know.
New 52.
Oh, I see. Bat Tower. I think he said bath tower. I don't know what that meant.
No.
Did you see that burning bath towel over there?
I was like, I've never seen a bath tower.
It's just like the spoiler some guy with glasses showed me one time.
That was the beginning of this friendship, and that was like the catalyst to start this thing. We used to over Skype. I mean, we used to over Skype literally
That's
talk
true.
comic books like for an hour, and
Don't
then
give Skype credit. It was Google Home. Or
it was
whatever.
Google Hangouts.
Right.
It was Geeko Hangouts. We used to hang out, talk comic books. It's when you were still at school, right?
I was in school.
And you
He
were still in
would've been-
school.
Yeah.
And
Do you think they call it Google and Chill now?
Probably.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. And and then eventually you guys were done with school, or it'd be like summer, and we would just sit around the table for like an hour, 2 hours and talk comics. And let's talk the oranges for a second here. And then it was kind of like an idea for a while. I threw it to your guys and be like, do you think you have something you'd be interested in? And at first it started as a website and we wrote it. And then we had the conversation being like, I think I'd rather, Garrett was a big one being like, I think I'd rather talk about it. Like,
Well, when it started becoming a chore to like type out things and you're saying the same things, it's like, I can't articulate what I'm writing.
Not everybody's a writer.
I'm saying I'm not a writer. I'm much better at speaking. Well, maybe not. I guess if you guys listen to the show, you probably know I'm not actually that articulate anyway.
And so at least for me personally, the big thing, like it was always like a thing where I was like, do you guys want to do this? And like it was like an idea and stuff like that. But I think the thing that was big for me, at least, to be like, no, we can do this and we're going to do this, was when my son was born and he was in the NICU. And I was like, dude, like, for some reason at that moment, I mean, not for some reason, you know why. Like at that moment, I was like, you know what? Like life's so fragile, and like at any second I could like die, and like, why am I waiting to do this thing? And so I told you guys to go, let's do it. I go, I'm going to buy all this stuff. You just pay me back, whatever, and we'll split it 3 ways, and we're going to start this. But I said, if we're going to do this, like, let's really go in and do this. We're not going to miss a week ever. Going into 3 years, never missed a week. We're going to make sure that like everybody's involved. I told you guys from the beginning, I was like, if this ever feels like it's a chore and like a job, then I think we're gonna stop. But like, let's keep it fun. Let's keep it interesting. I think we really done that. And let's just go out there. And first beginning too, I go, let's just go out there and talk. Let's just get it down. We're talking already, so let's get it down on record.
I said that was the one thing we sit around for hours.
Oh yeah,
shoot the shit,
just like dovetailing from the end of one topic into the beginning of another for hours. And
when New 52 was, 3 months away from even coming out, we would sit there for 2 to 3 hours on what these stories what the story would be, what this cover means, doesn't mean anything, what we're going to get, which was 90% of the books.
We were like freaking comic surgeons,
and
dissecting those beautiful.
I mean,
covers.
even the first conversation me and Garrett ever had was All-Star Superman and Grant Morrison in general, and Batman and Robin and all that, Batman Incorporated, and that's how I was like, oh, this guy's good. And I was like, okay.
Thanks.
But
finally someone says it.
This guy's good.
but that's what I mean. Like, and then I said, like, at first nobody's gonna listen. Nobody, probably it's just gonna be us talking for a while. So let's make sure that it's something we want to listen to, and we make sure to. At first, I mean, the format was different at the beginning. Remember, we used to bring a topic and we all would talk about it. It was more or less about reviewing weekly books, just because we thought we couldn't keep up if we read books and then talking about the show. And that sometimes still is a chore a little bit, because it's just that we record on Thursdays and books come out on Wednesdays, and we all have lives and jobs, and so it's kind of hard. But I think it shows how much that we're into this and how much we're dedicated to people now that we do have an audience. And we'll hear some numbers in a second in this game, but
you're gonna lose.
I am going to lose.
But it's now that we have an audience, I think we're kind of holding each other accountable, and holding I think our audience holds us accountable. Like when we don't put out, like when I don't put out the Gauntlet for a day, I get people being like, hey, where's this Gauntlet episode at? And when this episode or this show's late, people say that too. So like, but it's still fun. You know what I mean? Like I like interacting with people and talking about comic books, and then we bring guests on. We've had numerous people come on board that became friends, right? Like John Boylan's been a guy who reached out to us when we were doing the show and was like, hey, how do I get involved? And like, I want to really sponsor your show. He's doing rootsoftheswampthing.com. And we've got to know John over the last 3 years, basically.
Yeah. And
for doing the show. And you consider John a friend. And
absolutely.
I always do here.
Great guy.
And we've recently, met newer people like Mikey and Dylan and stuff like that. And it's cool seeing them do their thing. And everybody just feeds off of everybody's creativity. And I think ultimately, if you're listening to this and you enjoy it, and even if you're just listening to this and you obviously enjoy creativity, if you're reading comic books or you like some of that, I think it all just pushes towards at least something good in everybody's life. That's like a thing that you'd be like, yeah, I got comic books, I got this show, I got my own thing to do. So like all of it's good. And going into 3 years, that train, the tracks keep going. I saw this, my son watches Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. and this train was spitting out tracks from its mouth, and it was ongoing. That thing is going to loop forever, and that's this show.
Well, until you two die.
Or I choke on the track. Yeah, so
There's
one of
that
the
too.
two.
Don't worry, young Garrett will be here. These 80-year-old men will be out here.
Young Garrett will be doing this show on his phone, uploading it to YouTube because that's what he has to do.
Whoa!
You'll have
Don't worry.
You'll probably
I'm
have to
just
bring just host.
I really
number one
should
back
show
in.
you guys how to do this. I just did a presentation. I showed random people how to do this. I should show you guys how to do this.
Don't overexert yourself.
One day when this becomes
Don't go out of your way.
when this becomes more than us in my office around surrounded by Wonder Woman posters and Saga.
You just
number.
telling me how to tell your digital assistant to fix this video, fix the edits. Is that how you say it? See, that's your problem. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Thank you for editing for 2 years, Marvin. 3 years.
rootsoftheswampthing.com, your definitive online source for all things Swamp Thing. Holland Files number 2 is out. Garrett, how is it?
Holland File 2's was awesome. A lot of cool images that you haven't got to see in Holland Files number 1, so definitely looking forward to finishing this bad boy.
And that's not the only thing. If you want to learn more about Swamp Thing, Alex, where would you go?
You're gonna go to rootsoftheswampthing.com.
Make sure to stay in touch at rootsofswampthing.com on Twitter at DC World Swampy, Facebook.com/rootsoftheswampthing. Top 5. We're going to talk about our top 5 ongoing books. We do this every year. Well, we've done it for 2016, 2017, and now 2018. The first time, I don't think it was in June, but the last time it was still in June. So it's been a year.
Okay.
And we'll get into it here in a second. We're going to go around from 5 to number 1. But I just want to say something up top, and I think I'm not in the minority here. Not that great of a year. Or at least we're in this kind of weird stasis right now.
I think we were talking about right before the show that it's too many new things. That
At
there's
least with
nothing-
our rules.
Yeah,
right. Our rules are it has to be an ongoing, so that means it's more than 12 issues. It's not like a mini-series like Mr. Miracle, because that's 12 issues. It's not like a mini-series that's ended, like White Knight, which is great. Both of those they're both great. Department H was great, but that ended already, so
Right,
that was
it's
another
already done.
caveat. It has to be ongoing right now. And also, it has to have at least 6 issues that came out this year. I'm going to stretch that a little bit because I couldn't figure out another issue.
So now wait. The way I understand year is a year from last June. Last time we did this within that year.
Oh, I'll do that.
Because
that.
that's hard to do. We've only been going
Well,
for
then
6
I didn't
months.
cheat then.
Still cheated.
No, yeah, I'll go that actually because you're right because we haven't really talked about. Then we would be skipping a whole half year. So
Yeah, I say we already missed out on 6
where
months.
were
of
you
work.
a second ago when I was trying to figure out this?
Well,
list?
they said an ongoing could have 12 issues.
No, it has to be solicited for more. Otherwise, that's a miniseries.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, if we're gonna play dirty here, we're gonna play dirty here, but we're still gonna go through.
Hey,
I think at some point in time we're going to need to write
know what?
these rules down for
all I heard
us.
about was collusion, so that's all I need
The
to hear.
first year, I believe Alex went first. The second year, you went first.
So it's your turn.
Here we go.
Papa M.
Number 5. I thought about it for a while because, like I said, with our rules, it's kind of like I don't know what's really going on here. So
I got one thing to say. For Marvin being the techie one of the 3 of us, you're the one who had pen and paper for your list.
there's something about pens and paper that I like. Even I'm not being 100% serious. Like when I go to meetings at work, people bring their laptops. I bring pen and paper because I feel less distracted. I have a problem keeping my
focus.
attention focused. So I don't need all this distraction. I just need it right here.
See, that's what I was in class. I needed the pen to paper because then when I'm doing the tests or I'm trying to remember something, it's I remember writing that down and thinking this and doodling this part down here, which led to this. I get you.
Number 5 is I put on here, and for a while this thing I don't know where it was going, but I do feel like in the last year, and technically it's over, but it's not really over. It's because it's still ongoing, the story. So this is me cheating a little bit. Is Thor by Jason Aaron. Does that count? That's still the same.
I would
That's
count that
still-
because it's still his same story.
It's like a volume break. Is what's
Yeah.
going on. So I do really think, especially Russell Dodderman, which is it's probably the saddest part about that volume ending is that he's not on that book anymore. Yeah. But the way that Thor story ended the last couple months, and then the start of the new one, the start of the new one was a little rough, but the way the last one ended, starting with Mangog, and then Hemel. What's his name? No.
Hemdell?
Volsag getting the hammer and becoming like crazy and like killing
War Thor.
Yep, War Thor.
God, I enjoyed that arc a lot. And all of that, I think in the last year at least, creatively, Jason Aaron was just like, let's try to do a bunch of crazy stuff and like ramp this thing up to being crazy. And then the last arc was really down to earth about Jane trying to figure out what makes you a god. Is it that you're born a god, or is it that you accept responsibility and choose to protect everyone else? Does that make you worthy to be Thor? And I really did enjoy it, especially for the kind of turn it took from a book that I wasn't really enjoying to the last year being like, yeah, it's pretty good. When I thought of this list, I was like, I thought about this book and I was like, nah, well, there's better books. And then I looked at all the rest of my books. I go, nope, it's on there. So that's for me, Thor.
Oh, I like it. It's a good option. Now, I may be cheating now that I'm thinking about this. I put Black Hammer as my number 5. Like, the actual title Black Hammer has only had the 3 issues.
okay.
Can what?
It's on my list somewhere.
Yeah, me too. So
I cheated. You know what? Fuck it.
Like we already discussed,
that's
it's hard
the same
to do.
thing. That's the same thing as Thor, though. Those are the same story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they're just
'cause
breaks.
when we've had the 4-issue runs, those minis, they do add to this.
It's not our fault. That's the way he's choosing to break
Because
them up.
Sherlock Frankenstein got brought into this second issue of Black Hammer Age of Doom. It's like, okay, at least you're kind of tying things together. And 3 weeks ago, Dr. Starr came out. It's like, I'm counting them all in the same universe. They're the same story
I feel the same.
related. This is one of those books that is just so...
You know what?
looks so good, and that's all the way around with everybody who's doing the art. Because Ruben
Is
did.
it on your list?
Yeah, it is.
Do we just say for me, it's number 3.
For me, it's number 4, but I put it down as a Black Hammer universe. That's what I put.
I put just Black Hammer. So
That's why I said.
motherfucker.
Yeah, I said because it's like the same thing with Thor. It's like even though he's breaking it up, especially Black Hammer and Age of Doom. It's like it's the same story. He just broke it up into 2 volumes, and I think that's more just so people like new readers. He's trying to get them on board and not be like confused that this book is. You know, he could be like, "Oh, Age of Doom," and they can catch up on there and go back and read the rest if they want to, which I think
you
they should
should.
do. But yeah, that book's so good, Jeff Lemire.
the one thing is when it comes out, it's not one of those books that I go, man, I got to read this right away. And then when I do read it, I'm like, holy Moses, this book was amazing. Not only is the art fantastic, the way Jeff Lemire tells that story, it makes me I love all these characters. And I know when the time comes, he's going to be serving me some steak.
Well,
And
I think Jeff Lemire, having worked for the big 2, he has gotten so much experience working with different characters, superheroes, what have you, that now he gets to kind of because you can see all those nods to like Marvel characters, DC characters, things like that. But it's kind of like Injustice in a way where he can do these things and like literally just play with them, have fun, and tell a great story without any continuity barriers or story restraints because it's basically his universe.
And that Dr. Starr mini is probably one of the best things I've read this year.
did you guys finish 4?
I haven't read 4 yet.
Okay, I have not read 4.
No, I haven't either. But like,
Okay.
even just the 3, I know that's kind of high praise when the thing's out, but I really haven't had time the last like 2 weeks to read any comics. I was telling Garrett before you came here. But that Dr. Starr, even those 3 issues, are some of the most real stuff I read about a superhero. Like Garrett's just saying, it's about a superhero. But the things that happen to this guy and the way he reacts to them and like the kind of stuff I'm pulling from this book it's classic Jeff Lemire. It's like stuff that like when I read that, especially like when you go back to like his other books like Royal City, it's like I'm reading something and I'm getting a different perspective and I'm learning a little about life and it kind of reflecting on my own life. And that's the best kind of art there is that you can go through and read it and I can be entertained by the superhero side of it. But also at the end of the day, I'm like reading that and this Dr. Starr's a real character to me. They're not even a character, a real person. So it's really great, especially the art in all 3 series, Frankenstein, Starr, and then Age of Doom. Jeff Lemire knows what kind of specific person to pick for those books. Like Ruben's great for that Frankenstein thing. Ornsom's great for the main series. And then
Who did Star?
it's like
Max
Furuyama.
Furuyama.
Is like great for that Dr.
Yes.
Star. So I agree too. Those are some of the best books coming out this last 6 months. Or excuse me, 12 months.
My number 5, and I'm probably breaking the rules because damn.
Just say it and we'll tell you if
I know
you're
it's
wrong.
not right, but technically it's going to be ongoing for quite a fucking long time. Doomsday Clock, but it's only going to be 12 issues, so it doesn't technically count. But it's going to be going on for a million.
The one thing that I'm gonna throw you a bone. being that it's pretty much directly tied into Rebirth in general. Rebirth's been going on for 2 years. That I guess I wouldn't count it against you.
So I cheated. Happy?
That was one I did think of, but I thought it was disqualified by rules. But I will allow it just because it's so great.
I mean, it is. I mean, I'm sorry. I couldn't. When I thought ongoing, I was like, this one I know is going to be at least 12 issues. Gary Frank's killing it on art, and I don't even care about the delays because I know if I'm getting a whole issue with Gary Frank's art, it doesn't matter to me. Jeff Johns writing again. You know, we were talking about last week how excited we are to have him back writing comics. I think that's where he belongs. That's where he's strongest. And it's such an exciting time as a comic book fan. And like a sequel to Watchmen, like, are you kidding me? Like, to be able to do that and pull it off. I mean, we all read before Watchmen.
Well, I know you and I did. You read parts of before Watchmen.
I read Silk Spectre and Minutemen.
I mean, some of that was good, but some of it was a shit show.
Yes.
And it's like, this is the best way to do it.
Well, and the thing is that it's not just a cheaper rendition of a Watchmen book. It is you're given the DC characters that everyone does know. You're giving new characters. I think Mime's new, isn't he? The Mime is a new character.
And Marionette.
What a scary duo to have.
But they seem like they fit in with that Doomsday.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that Watchmen universe.
And then I know you're getting Watchmen characters. It's like, you know what? That's a book that's been missing for a long time. And you're right. That Gary Frank art is probably one of the best looking art books out there.
That first issue when you first meet Mime, you're like, this guy's like a joke. Like, he's not a real, because he fakes trying to shoot somebody with his finger guns. And you're like, this fucking guy. And then the second issue, when you actually see the crime he committed and like what he all does, you're like, this guy is scary. And it really just turn from a silly character, which they look silly, a silly character to a character that can be feared. And then we've seen that they might be interacting with the Joker. Like, all of it is told well. The new people mix in with the existing universe. And it really is something, instead of him going back and being like, oh, let me just, take the existing characters and just make a story out of that. Jeff Johns is like, how do I mix this with the DC universe? And what are we telling out of this? Like, what's coming out of this? And I do feel like he knew he needed to spend more time with it. And that's why he decided to go back to just writing full time. And the rest of it's going to be great. I think when you read this thing as a collective thing, you're not going to notice the delays, and it's going to be an amazing piece.
And I think this is one issue to issue, like at least from issue 4 to 5, because 5 just came out.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like I missed a beat. Picked up right where I remember everything left off, because it's such a deep, fun story that I remember everything.
So, in all honesty, I am behind by 2 issues, but I also know that this book really is going to be, like Marvin said, a spectacular book to read as a whole. That when I read those next 2 issues back to back, because I think the next time it comes out, we need to talk about it again, just to refresh everyone's memory. I can't wait to read those and then be like, holy shit, this book is fantastic.
I think any book where there's just uncharted territory, which you could say any book, but a lot of them get cliche because it's like the hero won't die, blah, blah, blah. Like in the Watchmen universe, it's like you don't know what could happen.
Well, I mean, just like you said, look at Mime's weapon of choice is his fake things, and then he shoots you in the face with it.
Do you think that Mime's gun is the same technology as Wonder Woman's jet?
You know it.
Alex, what's your number 4?
What was your number 4?
Mine was Black Hammer.
So. My number 4 is Tom King's Batman. Now,
4.
That's my number 4. I've got other books that I actually look forward to a little bit more, but Batman just came out number 49 this actual week. Second part of Best Man. I remember from issue 1 to 20, I was like, this book's really not my book. And once we got that final fight with Bane, I was like, holy Moses, this book is probably my favorite DC book.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? What you just said, almost word for word. I was listening to another episode to get some information today. 1 year ago today on episode 52, year 1, when we went over our ongoing top 5, you said exactly the same thing about Batman.
That I didn't like the first thing up until 20?
20, and then we start talking, like, almost exactly what you just said. You said it again.
It's amazing how that happens.
What, do we have to talk about it now if it's on our list?
You don't have to.
No, I'm going to wait.
I'll wait then. But still, what I'll confer with you is that I agree with your points, meaning Like, yeah, that first 16 issues, and we've talked about it on the show, like Tom King didn't really know where he was trying to go with Batman, but I feel like he was trying too much all at once, and you just couldn't tell what his direction was and things like that.
I am a biased Batman fan. I love my Batman to be mentally and physically and emotionally perfected. But to see a Batman who is what? Is this the same thing I'm saying?
Marvin's like, why did I listen to this episode?
Yeah, so
I just laugh because I'm like, dude, this is the same exact thing you said it a year ago.
But so for me, it's great to see this.
At least you're fucking consistent, dude. Like, that's what's great about Alex is that this guy knows what he likes and he knows what he doesn't like, and he does not change. I mean, he'll change his opinion if new material is presented, but he still remembers. Like, he's not going to remember a year from now. But like, for instance, sometimes I'll watch something and I'll say I like it, and then when I remember back to it, I'm like, yeah, I didn't like that thing, but I actually did. At least you are consistent. You know what you didn't like about it. Like, you have a really good memory about that. I just thought that's what's making me laugh, your memory. But
I would say I still got the still champ for things I actually care about, and I care. I love the Batman. But now I like this. I like this Batman and this Bruce who wants to have a life outside of being the Batman. What else is there? Is there, a wife? Maybe eventually he'll have. I doubt he'll have a child with Selena. But I like seeing this vulnerable side to him. When normally I want to see the Batman that breaks Bane over his knee. So it's refreshing. And
you want him to break Bane's goddamn back.
Of course. Like he told me that. Like he told me that
I'll
whole
break
time.
Bane's goddamn back.
we don't know if they're going to get married.
Bane's goddamn back.
Well, I know, and I realize that's a.
Yeah, I know. Joker's going to forge a signature, and he's actually going to marry Joker.
Or she might not want to get married to him. So
that's true.
So maybe not. Maybe this big wedding's going to be a big. Holy crud! What if it's the biggest?
What if that's the cliffhanger of 40? Did you guys read 49?
No.
it just came out, didn't it, this week?
Yeah, it came out
yesterday.
Yeah, I got my books today. So
Oh,
I haven't read anything.
What if it comes out at the end? She's like, I can't marry you because you saved the Joker's life.
well, at 50, they're getting married on the cover. So if they don't get married inside, you're going to be angry. So I'm just saying.
They're meeting at the altar. Doesn't mean
I think they're kissing.
vows are exchanged. And yeah, so
I'm just saying. Usually when you kiss,
some people impromptu kiss their people before.
Garrett, what's your number 4?
Number 4, you guys don't read it. Gasolina. I went back and picked up every issue that's come out, and I know it's ongoing because I've seen it's listed for issue 13. So fuck you guys.
I didn't even know you got that.
Yeah,
I went back and bought all the issues.
What's the spark for that to go back and also decide to buy all of them?
Sicario, actually.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, seeing Sicario. Love that movie. I got recommended by Marvin to watch Sicario because Soldado's coming out. And I was like, okay, I'll check this out. Fell in love with that movie. And it made me think of Gasolina instantly. So I went back. There was 7 issues out at the time. I picked those up. And I've gotten the most recent 2. So there's been 9 issues out so far. And this is such a cool concept. It's, like the Mexican cartel drug war happening. At the same time, there's monsters involved. Like scarabs and like werewolves and crazy like monsters that come out of like there's a kid in there that he got his whole family killed by the mafia, not by the mafia, by the cartel, and he was left alive because he's got a living creature inside of him that has like an arm that comes out and like eats people.
Oh.
It's insane. And then there's 2 main characters, and one of them, she is like, there's a female and a male, they're a couple, and the male, he's like an arms dealer, I would say. He's kind of like a bounty hunter. And then the girl, she's like freaking Forever from Lazarus, where she like snipes people and like she's just a really good marksman and stuff. It's just a lot of fun. If you like high intensity, like adrenaline, or like kind of those really dry, intense moments like Breaking Bad, where it's like just creating so much tension with what you're like looking at. It's such a great book. And it's written by the editor of most Image Comics, Sean Mankiewicz, who does the editing for Walking Dead. He does it for Oblivion Song. He does it for almost every Image book. Not all of them, but almost every one.
what, really?
Yeah, he does a lot of them.
My number 3, right,
Yes.
is Saga by Frankie Vaughan and Staples.
I'll just leave the room. I'm just kidding.
Actually, last year you brought up that you were mad because I spoiled the book a little bit. So I will not try to spoil it. I'll just say that especially in the last year, and I think Alice will agree with me here.
I can't confirm anything yet, so.
I think it's been the strongest it's ever been, ever since, what was the issue where, you know what issue I'm talking about?
For you, it was like 38.
Yeah.
Mine was when they're on the Comet Fang is when that really gets strong.
And what issue were you on now? 51?
53 comes out next week.
Okay. So in the last year, this thing has been amazing. Every issue before, there was a while where Saga felt like to me that it was like consistently like good, like an 8 or 9. But in the last year, I would say every issue's been a 10. Fiona Staples' art has always been a 10, but Brian K. Vaughan, his story has elevated to a point where like every issue is unique, and the way he tells the story is just so refreshing to read it, and the character moments are so strong. It might be because we've been reading about these guys for so long that everything that happens to them or it's been happening to them recently, it's just more impactful. There's been a couple issues where some real stuff, bad stuff happened, and it gets hard to read. But it is a great book, and before I would almost say like before that 38 issue, for a while I was like, this thing might be a little overhyped because people were saying it was like the best book ever, and it was great, but it wasn't like one of my favorite books of all time. But in the last year has totally achieved that, and any kind of hype you've heard about the book is true, and I would read it. It's great.
Yeah, that is a good book. My number 3 is Gideon Falls. Yes, Gideon Falls. Jeff Lemire and...
It's only going to be 8 issues.
Is it really?
No, I'm just kidding.
That would suck, because then I'd be... Oof. Screw that, I ruined this.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, fans.
This may be one of the first horror books I've gotten into in a long time. The last horror book I remember picking up would have been The Wake by Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy. That book looked great. This book is probably one of the best looking books I've seen, and when Sorrentino actually gets to put his strengths into it, much like he had in Old Man Logan, where his work of art isn't a linear set of panels. It's all over the place. Yeah. He owns that 2-page spread. And I think you guys can agree, this is probably at least for me, one of the best books that's coming out recently, and it broadcasts what Jeff Lemire can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I didn't put it on my list only for the fact that, like, it's kind of new again. That's kind of that gray area we were talking about, that's like so new. But it's the first time in a long time that I've turned a page in a comic and I got goosebumps, or I like jumped a little bit. I'm like, to have art and, printed words be able to make you jump like you're in a movie, that's crazy to me. That variant cover that Marvin got for issue 4, where the guy's staring through the barn. Yeah. When he hangs that up in here, if you hang that up on the ceiling, I'm just gonna be like sitting here the whole time, like looking up, like.
My concern is I hope it's over there so I don't have to see it all the time. If it's right in front of my face,
I should put it right behind your head.
So every time I turn around, he's right there looking at me.
Garrett, what's your number 4? I 3.
I already talked about Black Hammer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
My number 2. Excuse me. I guess I should have talked about it when you talked about Gideon Falls. It's my number 2. That one I thought was a little cheating about because it's been only 4 issues come out today. But that is a book, like usually. So we did a best new series. We do it every year at the end of the year. Last year, there was one where I was like, Batman White Knight was 2 issues out at the time, and I was like, it's kind of early to consider it like one of the best. It was 2 issues. So 3 issues in were with Gideon Falls, but I think because of Jeff Lemire's track record, and because of the way the story's been told, these 3 issues have been like 10s for me. I believe I can say that it is one of my favorite ongoings right now, and I have no issue believing that it's ever going to drop in quality. Like, this thing has been so great.
Right, and it's coming out consistently.
It is. Jeff Lemire's writing so many books consistently right now.
How does that guy have a relationship with anybody in his life?
I think he's actually one of those workers that actually does do the plan of going, okay, I want at least 8 issues of this. When I put it out, I can start anew on the next set. And I'm going to have all these other 8 books that I'm writing also 8 issues ahead of game.
He's got to be doing double digits on books. I mean, like, he's writing more than 10.
Oh, I'm sure he's working on probably 12 books at least. Whether or not they're coming out right now, because next week is Century comes out.
I think Jeff is one of those writers who really does just love comics, and he's not really trying to do other things. Like, we can see these with other writers. fall behind is because just there's one of their books gets picked up for a show, and then they go off and try to produce that and write for the show, and then they fall behind in their comic work. Where Jeff Lemire consistently has been like, I love comics. I'm going to be doing comics, and he's putting out 6-7 books right now.
No,
He's got to be doing more than that.
And it, like you said, never late, always on time, and every single one, at least so far. This Century thing I'm going to pick up to figure out if he's got something going on where he's writing the best books of his life. But every single book is like great. It's fantastic.
I think that right there will be the almost the chalice of the Holy Grail is to find out if he can write Sentry, a character I could literally give two craps about and know nothing about, and still make me go,
dude,
wow,
I hate
that
Sentry.
book is great.
If I read that book and I like it, this man's
gonna change your
genius.
life.
But going back to Gideon Falls, like you said, we have like a weird story and there's horror involved, but also it's like a kind of a mystery at the same time, detective kind of book. And just Sorrentino's art in that book alone is worth it. But Jeff Lemire elevates that thing to like, it's like Seven mixed with Silence of the Lambs almost. Like it's like about this like crazy guy, you know, like it's you kind of on edge about that story, but also it's like the colors are very muted and kind of like washed down and brown and black, and it's like this book, especially like the last issue where we saw his apartment.
Yes, and
the paranoia he has behind all of this stuff, and then it's like, is this real or is this not real? Like, and then we see a psychiatrist. She saw it too, but it's like, at what point? Now you're starting to think when you're reading this book is like, who's reliable in this book and who's not reliable, and how much like all this weird stuff's happening, and so it gets your mind going, and like you're reading the book on edge.
It doesn't make you feel paranoid.
Yeah.
Like you feel like when you go in your bedroom, you're like looking around like, I don't know, is this really secure?
You feel like if you were Garrett, you would wake up tonight and the guy's gonna be staring you face to face.
You're the worst human being I've ever met in my life.
I love that book so much, and I'm so excited that she came out today. And that's one of the first books I read. I know you guys do the opposite, but I read the books I want to read right away.
To be fair, I don't do that anymore because I've got too many books to read, so it doesn't matter what's first or what's last.
I read Gideon Falls first every time it comes out.
Well, took me three months to read Saga, and I like Saga.
Alex, what's your number 2?
My number 2, Garrett doesn't technically get this book, but I know you read this book. My favorite characters, TMNT. The ongoing series, 84 issues going, longest run of Turtles.
Which volume is this? Technically, since the beginning, it's volume like 6 or 7.
I think it's 8. 8 or 9 almost. So I'll admit there's been some weak arcs after the Shredder died in issue 50. Spoilers. We get kind of into a weird zone. But in the last probably 8 months, it had actually picked up. They finally got away from the Krang storyline where they went to Dimension X, where I'm not a Krang fan. We come back and the EPF, Earth Protection Force. So they're going to defend these aliens, or defend against aliens coming to Earth. You get the Triceratons, some of the coolest characters, at least for me personally, characters to come out. And the Turtles actually are kind of trying to do the right thing for the city and for their family, where they're going up against their father, Splinter, who's now
douchebag.
Yeah, he really is a dickbag. Man, they have changed that character from being this caring father figure to he has a job to do. And
do you think they're going to reveal at some point that he's got like he's being someone's puppet?
Well, and that I think does kind of lead into what's going on now. So the current story is the Pantheon, which is these godlike. I'm going to call them immortals. I think they can die, but they seem so godly. And this is honestly one of the strongest arcs I've seen in so long. Just for the fact you're getting these weird ass characters, and the Turtles have this. I don't know. They've got this family figured back together.
Yeah,
and that's I think the biggest thing. Without Splinter,
and I think that's okay. That's a strength when those turtles rely on each other. It's not called TMNT and their dad.
Yeah,
it's called TMNT.
And that's the big thing. You still got Mikey trying to be the fun guy, but he's actually had to become kind of a serious guy from time to time. And he's actually semi-smart. I don't know if you caught up on the last issue.
Yeah. Oh no, I have one issue
with Man-Myth. Okay. There's some great stuff in there. You get Leo, who really is kind of that surrogate father to all these guys, just going, how can we... Anyway, I know you didn't ask for the whole story of this book, but this series is so...
It's actually very interesting because I didn't know, like, the Turtles got this involved with a story. I thought like every week it was like Monster of the Week kind of thing.
No, this really has become the family business. They're trying to save New York from these bad guys, and it's not even like they're all bad guys. They're just these godlike people who want to rule Earth and want to get their dad back to an extent. It's just, I grew up loving the Turtles, and to see this finally come full circle and these characters to become so defined and actually not be where Raph's always the hothead. He's actually got good character moments. And Donnie is the smart one. So you actually see he's not actually the best fighter, as you realize later in the 44 when he gets the shell cracked.
Right.
It's just, I love this book, and it makes me, I've had moments where my jaw drops going, wow, there's some stakes in this book. And I know we talk about stakes. It's a serious thing to me. I like being enthralled in a book. And Turtles has been able to do that for me recently.
It's good. Yeah, I do. I think it's picked up its quality. You're right. The last probably year.
By the way, if you want to get me to talk a lot and actually have like coherent things, let's talk TMNT. I can do it.
I been teasing this show for like the last half a year. You, Corey, and Garrett getting together and talking TMNT.
We need to talk to you
We're
for the
amping it up. Damn.
Here, you know what?
If everybody got what they wanted, then the world wouldn't be a shitty place now, wouldn't it?
And you can and Garrett can even attest that last cover, probably one of the best looking covers Turtles have had.
Then why did hashtag Guess Us want to get the worst
I know,
one?
because that was the best cover with Mammoth on it.
Garrett, number 2.
My number 2 is Batman by Tom King. I kind of had the same, beginnings with this book. Martin forgot to put Batman on his list. What the fuck?
I did.
Chris Samney?
Chris Samney, R.I.P. Just kidding. We know
I
you're
had
alive.
it-
Marvin doesn't.
I was going to switch it, and I just totally forgot to put it back on. Or whatever.
Oh, geez. Well, I didn't forget about you there.
That was like
Batman.
one of the first books I put on my list. Was like, no, I love Batman.
I think, we said once we hit that Bane storyline, this book has been gold. I think, the message that Tom is trying to get across in his books has been very strong. I love a book where it can take some of your favorite characters and give you each issue. It's like a new message, or it's a new meaning to the message that he's trying to give across. And, Marvin's talked about it. We've talked about that he has a new book coming out, which is Marvin, it's okay. Don't drink too much. There's going to be the mental health comic that
Sanctuary,
is this
Heroes
what
in
it's called?
Crisis.
Heroes in Crisis. So, he's really focused on all these traumatic things that happen to superheroes. I mean, you can't just brush that off and be like, I'm good. So, I think it is interesting that he's peeling back the layers of Batman and Catwoman in turn to see how they function as a team, to see how everything going on in Batman's life affects others like Damian or Nightwing or not really Jason Todd. He doesn't give a shit about him, but
Depending what book you read, because
Right.
he actually does kind of care about him in Red
Yeah,
Hood from
I
time
know,
to time.
I know. But I think this is one, every issue I read is amazing. That Booster Gold arc that he did, thank God Booster Gold's going to be in that Sanctuary book, because I think Tom King killed it at writing Booster Gold. So you can tell that, I love reading whatever Tom King says on Twitter, because his daughter has the best toy collection of all time, and I think that's from Tom King. I don't think that was originally hers, obviously, but I think he's a great writer. I love the art team. We got introduced to Joelle Jones through the Batman run, and she's going to be starting that Catwoman book here on July 4th. So, it's one of my favorite books coming out right now. If only Tom King could, I was going to say write Superman, but Bendis isn't doing horrible. So.
But the one Superman thing he did write for was the Superman or the 1000th issue or
that 2-issue arc? Super Friends?
It was for Action Comics 1000.
there you go.
Oh, yeah.
That really was probably one of the best Supermans I've I didn't write it. Read because
But then he also did that. The couples basically hanging out.
You're right.
That was
a double
great
date.
also.
I'm not going to do what I've done in the past and tell you where this Batman falls in, but just know he would have been on the list.
Honorable mention, don't you mean, Marvin?
So what's your number
You
one?
cheating ass.
My number 1 on my list is Royal City from Jeff Lemire and Jeff Lemire. We are halfway into 2018. And we claimed last year was the year of Jeff Lemire. the man has only doubled down and said, "Oh, you think I can only do 1 or 2 books?" He said, "Fuck you, I'm doing 7."
It's going for the legs.
And I'm going to keep up consistency. But realistically, my favorite out of all of them is Royal City. I think just a story I've been asking but for a while, you guys know, just a book about people. And the arc that we just had in the past, and then the one we had in the present, and the start of the new one here that we recently came out, is just like...
Did you guys read it?
Yes.
This book
It's great.
is...
We got answers.
This book is great. Every issue I get the press, but still it's like... It's like when you watch something and it's not depressing being like, man, that's horrible. It's depressing being like, that's life. You know what I mean? And
It's
then
real. Yeah, that's what it is. It's real life situations.
and you can either take it as you want, or you could take it as like some of these characters are trying to overcome things, and it's about struggles in life and about how do you overcome those struggles and how do you become better and how do you strive for more. And every time I read this book, and then I would recommend also like listen to his soundtracks. Like I really do like the music that he picks, but the whole thing is just like, it is peak Jeff Lemire, even his art. Like I still to this, and this is coming off of, I said this last year too. It's still that one panel where Tommy is having water poured over him and they're in the church and like the water's falling on his family. Is still one of the best panels I've read in the last 2 years. And the book's great. I love that book so much.
I actually took this one off my list for the fact that it was only going to be 14 issues. So, and I realize it does meet our criteria, but at 14 issues, I thought that's too close for me to be like, yes, I can put it on the list. I agree with that.
Did you read his letters page from this last issue?
No.
Why'd you read that thing? It's like 2 paragraphs.
What did he say, Garrett?
He basically explains, like, you know, he said that he could have dragged this story out, but he said, you know, internally, he said, I really don't have anything more to say right now than the 14 issues I'm going to produce. So he said, rather than dilute the story, I want to give you what I want to give you. Like, I want to give you the best story I can tell, and I'm not going to just dilute it out just so that I can sell more comics.
No, and I respect that from him, and if that's the story you want to tell me, that's great. For me, just going like, I love this book. This really is the best Jeff Lemire, and actually made me want to get his past books of like Trillium, that 8 issues, and to get Sweet Tooth, his 40-issue run. So it's not that I don't think this book is great. It really is probably one of the best, if not the best book out there. But there's one other book that I can't help but love this book even more, and that is Saga. When I spent one whole day reading 45 issues to get caught up.
How do you read 45
I woke up
comics
at
in one day?
6 in the morning, and I read until about midnight. I mean, I obviously had to
What
eat.
did your wife say?
I had the day off. My daughter was not born yet, and I even told her all day long, all I'm going to do is read. And so I read that. I read
Put
that
a sock
series.
on the door?
There are some moments where like, wow, okay, okay, that's interesting.
I think BKV, like, he loves making that first page being like, holy shit. Like,
Yeah.
And it has been for the last year, being like, what is this? What am I reading?
This is one of those books that not only does it have that, what the heck am I looking at? I mean, not what am I looking at? I can't believe that's the first page that I opened up. I can't read this at work because it's too scandalous. But it really kind of makes me, as now that I'm a father, are you caught up on the last issue?
I think so.
So something's going on with Hazel now. And just to see this little girl growing into this, 7-year-old or 8-year-old girl, and it's like, wow, just think that's how fast time flies for you as a dad. If anything happened to my little girl, my world would be crushed. I can't imagine what these two parents, Marco and Alana, are going through trying to protect their daughter and let her have this life that they never would have had. And like I said, Fiona Staples, her art is immaculate. Every issue, she seems to get better and better. And maybe she's already top notch. She never needs to change it. I love this book, and I look forward to see how many issues they can print out and how much more I can love this.
It's one of the best. Garrett,
I'll have to read it someday.
your final one.
My final one. So, my most exciting book right now, and the one that I'm loving the most, Punisher, by Matthew Rosenberg right now. I know he's going to write at least 12 issues, so I'm going to go shit on his bed. But just saying, because I follow the rules, sort of.
Is it he started at 218, we're at 224?
Well, that would count anyways. We're not saying the book's going to last forever. So.
Punisher will still count.
But what he's produced in the last 6 issues has been incredible. For all of you Tony Stark fans out there, you don't even need to, well, obviously you don't need to read that book by Dan Slott, but you get your little Iron Man fix from the Punisher, and you get your Punisher fix from the Punisher. It's still Frank Castle in the suit. He's still doing things his way, and I did read the solicits. He's not going to have a suit forever. He's not going to be able to use it constantly. But I do really enjoy this book, and this is one of those that I break my own rules for saving the best for last, and I read it first. Whenever the Punisher comes out, I read it right away. Is it crazy that my 5 doesn't have any Superman books on it? Just saying.
No. One, to be fair, there hasn't been a Superman book in 2 months, other than Man of Steel, which couldn't count for this list.
Right, exactly. But no, I think that I really wish I got Punisher Warzone or whatever you guys. Not Warzone. What was that book you guys were in? That 6 issue.
Oh, Platoon.
I should have got that because when you guys were talking about that, I always carry that with me when I read this book. It's not just like. I don't just see the skull and it's just like, oh, it's Frank Castle. He's the Punisher. He just kills people.
You should read Punisher Warzone anyways. That's a great series.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
If you read the Greg Rucka run, that one's fantastic.
Really? So I don't know. I think that it's really surprised me. And I put it at the top of my list because, I literally have never been more excited about the Punisher more than when this book has been coming out. I think it's one of those hidden gems, too, because I think when people saw it coming out, they're like, they're redoing the Punisher. He's just going to be the same old thing. He's just going to have some extra weapons to use. But I really do like the story. And there was even in the last arc, the last issue, Frank leaves the suit and does what he does best. He, Frank Castles up and still punches the shit out of everybody. So I really love that book. And I hope Matthew Rosenberg writes it for a while.
I think Punisher is one of those characters, and I would agree with you, Garrett. This is one of the Marvel's strongest books to come from Legacy. I think Rosenberg really has a handle on him. And I was weary when he was going to get the suit. It's like, God, don't let him be in the suit all the time. He needs to still be Frank Castle.
He can't be invulnerable.
He can't be invulnerable all the time. He's got to be the character that I love. And you're right, at the end of that arc where he goes up against the guy who's wearing the suit going, what are you going to do now? I got your suit. Or I got a suit. It's like, I'm fucking Frank Castle.
And he's like, just give me that knife and I'll show you.
I'll stab right through that titanium.
Which that was cool when you see him backhanding the knife. You're just like, okay, it's on.
This is
you don't want him out of the suit.
No, I was just saying, you leave Frank in the suit because the suit can.
That's a barrier between you two.
This is one of those books that really is so strong, and I think if you're not getting and you want to get a Punisher book, this really is a good jumping on point. Start at 218. Don't be crazy and go back and get the other 200 issues. This is a strong start to get you that blood in the water.
They just started a new arc with Hydra being involved. So perfect jumping on point. You don't even have to go back to the last issue where he first gets the suit. But I do recommend it because A, that first issue cover is amazing.
Yes.
And B, the art inside and on the covers look incredible.
Yes, agreed.
That's our top 5 ongoing series right now as of June 21st, 2018. Sorry, I took off my glasses. Can't see. By the way, also, I was just checking to see how many of those Rosenbergs were on Marvel Unlimited. 2 of them. So I can read 218 and 219 if I want.
It's got that bitchin' cover for the first one. Huh?
Great books. I mean, I was kind of downplaying at the beginning of the top 5, saying that not a lot of greats coming out now, but those are our strong books. It's just that we're in this weird stasis where a lot of good books have ended and a lot of new ones have started, so we got to bend the rules.
Like if we ever, and I'm sure we'll eventually do that feature of not jumping on points, but new reader-friendly type books. I was going to put Weatherman on this list, but only 1 issue's come out, and I loved that first issue so much that I'm like, holy crap, this book is amazing. I get every issue.
Well, in the case of Marvel, you're already getting up to volume 17s on some books, which is ridiculous.
That's in the last year, so.
Supercon 2018, Return of the Con, September 28th, 29th, and 30th. Tickets on sale at supercon.com. Alex, we're going to be there doing a show, aren't we?
Yeah, we're going to be there on the 28th doing a live show for everyone. What's it going to be called? Wednesday Comics After Dark.
And not only us are going to be there, a lot of people are going to be there. Phil Hester, right, Garrett?
Yes, Phil Hester, the current artist of Batman Beyond. He's done other projects like Shipwreck. He's done some Swamp Thing that you may or may not have seen, and some Holland Files that came out recently.
Not only Phil, Science Steve, Shay Fontana, Tony Fleece, Travis Nye, Midwest All Pro doing a show the 28th. They'll be doing a show that night. That's the main attraction that night. Jill Thompson, Ryan Cody, John Allen, and more. Tom Wynn. Going to be at Siouxpercon.com. Make sure there's a lot going on that weekend. I would say, if I am going to tell you any kind of advice, buy that weekend pass. You won't regret it. You got MAP concert that night also. You got Wednesday Comics After Dark. And then you got a whole weekend of stuff to do, people to see. Siouxpercon.com for more information. Well, boys, here we go. We're going to play a little game here to kind of reminisce. There are going to be questions about this show, about things you've said, and things about the show, and you guys will be against each other, and we'll see who gets the most points.
Fucking hate you.
The final round might seem a little weird when I bring it up, but I'll let you know what that is when we get there. But
By the way, everyone listening to the show knows I suck at these games.
Do we need to be fully stocked on beverage?
I mean, if you want to.
Well, I thought there was penalties.
Well, I'd really didn't make it like that. So
Fine.
So to be fair,
chill.
you guys all
chill
both
show.
work tomorrow.
This is a chill show. It's a Thursday night. Yeah,
You don't work tomorrow?
Fuck no, I have 4 days off.
For what?
My sister's coming to town.
Well, damn.
So Santa too is what I heard.
Of course, Santa Claus.
Cold today.
Not tomorrow.
Yeah, it's more relaxing because we usually when we do punishment games like that, we have the day off next day. Or
So we plan it out ahead of time for it.
I was expecting to be punished. I don't care if I go to work.
Well, then
You can get punished, yeah.
here's the way
Every
it's going
time
to
you
work.
get one wrong, I punch you in the face.
For the first one, I'm going to need you guys to bring out your phones. You're going to write down a number. This game is called Numbers. It's going to actually, by the way, this whole thing is called the Gauntlet. But you guys do the weekly Gauntlet on the show. I'm running you through the Gauntlet and see who wins these 3 different rounds.
You just took me from like an 8 to a 11.
The first one's called Numbers.
It's a fucking 11.
And you don't have to get the number on the nose. I need closest without going over. Okay. That's why you're going to write it down. You're going to show me. And I'm going to let you know who wins. We're going to do Price is Right style. I'm Bob Baker.
Barker.
What?
Bob Barker.
Bob Baker? What are you, fucking cheaper by the dozen?
Drew Carey. I was thinking about Phil Baker, the kid's musicianist thing.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Still that Price is Right.
I'll be Drew Carey then.
Okay.
Here we go. Numbers. Everybody ready to write down a number?
Yep.
How many episodes total do we have? That includes forecast, special editions, and the main show. We know we're at 104. I'll give you that of the main show because we've done 100. Recently we celebrated 100, and it's been a month since then, which is weird. But where are we total with everything? Write it down in your thing.
I'm thinking.
Show me. Close.
I'm doing mental math.
You look like you were going to say something. So
I'm not going to say anything.
Closest without going over.
Why can't I stare in your eyes while I'm thinking?
Closest without going over.
Wait.
I should probably write this down so I remember what she said. After that pen. Oh, there it is. Say 187. Garrett says 187, and Alex said 203. The actual answer. I'm going to have you guys try again because you're both over.
Both over?
So nobody won that round. So, but I'm going to have you try again. You're both over. He had 187, so below that, please. 167.
But I should have waited until
I don't know. I just realized that.
Fuck!
Sorry, I can't read. You're so small. 176. Okay.
Why is he using the calculator? What are you using?
I'm using.
But he has the benefit of his
I'm closer.
orangutan arms basically shoving it into my face.
That's true.
And you are like so far away. So you said 167. He said 176. How many episodes total do we have? 167. Garrett,
wow.
on the fucking nose.
What? No way. Take a shot. Like, holy shit.
You got
kidding.
something to shot? I brought the beer. You bring the shots.
That is amazing.
Garrett with the
For
first
anybody
one.
listening, I am that amazing. Thanks.
For anyone listening, he's full of shit.
I was gonna say
that's pretty. That's magical.
I was gonna
to
say
be fair, it'd be magical if you
that's
got
why
the
I
first
said
time.
it, Gary, because I was like 167. I was like, fuck, dude, this guy got it. I get so excited. But
That's awesome.
there we go. Question number 2.
Amazing.
So this is the end of year 2, right? What is the date of the first episode of year 2, episode 53? What's the date that it was published?
Okay, slow down. I don't get it.
Episode 53.
What date?
Episode 53.
What day was that published? Like, what's the start of year 2? The first episode in year 2. What's the date? Just think about it like this is the start of year 3. Do a little mental math.
Closest without going
Closest without going over the date. Give me a date. The closest date without going over it is June 21st, 2018. Today.
Now, don't say it out loud, Marvin.
Well, I mean, I'm going to get me excited here.
Let's see.
I feel like the prodigal son is just sitting here.
This is Alex.
That's pretty cool. I know he's gonna get this one. Some bullshit.
Okay. But none of you got on the nose. None of you were a savant like Garrett in that first round. But somebody did win because they went closest without going over. Garrett wrote June 21st, and Alex wrote June 23rd. It is July 2nd, 2017.
Oh.
So Alex will get the point second round.
It's a week.
That's weird. That's weird. I actually thought June 2nd sounds like the first time that the first one came out. Whatever.
Well, that was so I was looking at that and I was like, that's weird that was in, I guess the next episode we do will be the 28th. How does it a week off?
I don't know. That's what doesn't make sense.
Sometimes there's a 5th week in a month.
Oh, that's
No,
true.
there's a 6th this time, so it doesn't make sense still.
We're a week
Well,
behind.
if there was 6 weeks in each month,
you know what?
they're
You know what I got
out.
paranoid
It would
about?
even out, dummy.
You know what I got paranoid about? But I'm pretty sure somebody would have pointed it out. But I didn't check. To be fair, that maybe I missed a number and we're off of one. I got paranoid for a second.
That
So
would terrify
if
me.
I go back,
If we like freaking had episode 100 and we were actually at like 101.
so somebody go back and tell me if I messed up somewhere. Question number 3: what date, published date, did we start doing the forecast? What was the published date of the first episode of the forecast? Something new that we started with year 2. We decided to start doing the forecast, which if you don't listen to that show and listen only to this show, which I would find crazy, but that is the weekly comic book podcast where we tell you the books coming out for that Wednesday. So,
Carry the one.
The one, you full of shit.
No, I have no fucking clue.
and actually turns out to be, and I think it's because of the time and because people like really want to know that news. It really is a really popular show. So I actually do enjoy, and I think I'm glad that we decided to do that.
Yeah.
People like that show. So
Yeah, I'm working on it. Just I'm pulling a Garrett here
Because at least if you live in the South Dakota region, if you listen to Kelland for that weather, you know Alex is way more correct than they are. So
right now. That's true. I told you guys it was going to rain for 24 hours.
you did, and it did rain for 24 hours. So. Here we go. Somebody did win again. Also not on the nose, but they got close without going over. When did we start doing the forecast? Garrett thinks it's July 19th, 2017. Alex thinks it's January 17th, 2017. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
You looked at
No, I'm just. We both.
you both are about 6 months off from each other. So one of you did get close without going over. We started on April 26th, 2017. So Alex is close.
the fuck?
So you guys actually...
You said we started close like soon after year 2, and year 2 first date was published on July 2nd.
I said we started after year 2. So technically that's right.
Fuck.
To be fair, it'd be different if I was actually like super close and just off by a day.
Alex has
Have you ever
2.
gotten,
I'm just gonna
have you ever gotten an answer spot on?
Alex has 2. Garrett has 1.
One legendary answer
Garrett
versus
did get
2
one on
mediocre
spot.
answers.
You did get one spot on, but it's kind of running out now. Your energy. It's like when you hit a max power and like you have the
or
star.
you win $200 in Vegas, then you keep spending money,
Yeah,
and you
now you're
end
down
up
to-
$20 in the hole. Wow, that sounds like real life.
Question number 4. Close without going over it.
I'm asking for a friend.
I don't need you to nail this, but if you do, you could be a savant like Garrett. How many countries? How many individual countries? Now, so I'll tell you this. Okay, I'll ask a question first, then I'll clarify. How many countries have listened to our show? Now, I just need, like, when somebody downloads from the show, it'll pop up their country, right? And the last one, just because there's so many little ones, it just says other. I'm not counting the other because I don't know how many are in that other. But of individual countries that I list, how many of those do we have? That we at least have one listener in. Okay. Somebody did win here. We'll break this down here.
I feel like I just spent time.
I think this is you. I think this is you.
So
But if he says me first, I'm always wrong.
how many countries do we at least have one listener in? Right. Garrett said 8 countries. Alex said 67 countries.
Garrett should be probably right.
67 countries?
Yep.
That's an astronomical number. Why would you put that high?
I'm telling you that we are celebrities.
Oh,
the
God. I'm
actual
not feeling
answer.
the reaps of that benefit.
Once again, the actual answer is 50. So,
Oh.
I mean,
Fucker. I'm off by
Okay, sorry.
17.
You're right. You're right.
if we included the others, which I don't know how many are in there, he might be right. But 50 is the only ones I could clarify for 100%.
So you actually know what it is.
But
Okay.
the rule is closest without going over, so.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying. Technically, I'm actually closer. I'm just over.
We are tied 2-2. Garrett has 167 answer he nailed on the spot.
One astronomical
Legendary.
answer. Legendary. Other one, fucking far
Two
away.
of them, Alex, and answer number 2, Alex undercut Garrett by 2 days and took that answer. And the second one, they were both off. Well, Alex was off by 3 months, but he still got it. And now with this one here, Garrett is off by 42, but he still closes.
When he still wins.
The last question in the numbers
Damn.
round, our last question in the numbers round, once again, closest without going over, it's going to be percentage. And I do need to the 100th. 100th, right? No, 10th.
3 decimal places? I was about to. Oh,
10th.
2.
To the 10th.
Wait, 2. Shut the fuck up.
Our number one platform.
no.
Alex, let me clarify about this too. Our number one
What
platform
are
is
platforms?
here. Our number one platform is iOS. What percentage of people use iOS? iOS, so like me and Garrett have iPhones, that's iOS. iPads, iOS.
Oh, I see. It's the iPhone server.
Yeah, Android's like a platform. So of the people
So it's iTunes.
that listen to our show, no, it's not. iTunes is actually separate on the computer.
Okay.
It's just iPads and iPhones.
Okay.
What percentage of our listeners listen to our show through that format?
And it's also called Apple Podcast now.
Yes,
He literally said that last week.
through Apple Podcasts.
What percentage of people use that?
So is a platform? It doesn't have to just be. It can be anything though. To listening through that. So like Spotify could be on there, or is that a separate platform?
It's a good question. Let me double check quick. I think it is a separate platform. I think it's just talking about operating system. Yeah, it's just operating system. So like it could be Spotify. They're using an iPad or an iPhone for it. Okay. Garrett said 57.6%, and you said 58.
Yep.
You're both over. So go ahead and do it again.
Ah, damn.
You're both over.
How much?
You would wish Apple would wish they had the kind of marketplace domination, but they don't have that kind of domination. Okay. You stupids. Idiots. Look, show each other what you wrote down. The same fucking number. 38.
38.3? Dude, fuck yes. What? Another legendary answer? Is it fucking right?
And you're both over still. So
Oh my god, that's crazy.
You stupids.
I thought he was calling you stupids twice. How the fuck does that happen?
We're not even twins. That's what's funny.
God.
You stupid.
I did give you that hint though, right? 2 past the decimal point. That's to the 10th, right? Or is that 100th? That's 10th.
You stupids.
15 point. Oh, sorry.
What the fuck?
I couldn't hear. I was laughing too hard.
Oh my god.
Okay, here we go. The final question in this round.
How much are we good friends? 38.3%.
What percent? It's the number one platform is iOS. What percentage of people use iOS?
I don't remember what I wrote.
Alex wrote 24.4%.
Okay, good. That's what I wrote.
Garrett wrote 15.6%.
He already told me I look stupid.
The actual answer is 22.89%. So Garrett gets the point.
Again, technically still closest, just over.
Right. I can't believe we did that. That's mad.
Garrett will win out that
Magical.
round. He has won it 3-2. Your points won't transfer over. You just won the round. So Garrett won round.
Nice.
Damn. Well, 2 legendary answers.
still can't
One
get it.
was incorrect. One was hell yeah correct.
This one here is only 3 points. So
One made you part of the stupid, so way to go.
there are
I made stupid plural.
3 possible points per question. So possible of 6 points in this round.
Come on, that's gold.
I made stupid plural.
I was going to call you stupid idiots. That's why I came out stupids.
Called us idiots.
This is called What Did They Say? 1 year ago, we told you what our number 1 ongoing books were. Now, I need 3 answers, so write them down. I need to know what was Alex's number 1, what was Garrett's number 1, and what was my number 1. On our last one, on episode 52, called Year 1, excuse me. What was your number 1 ongoing book 1 year ago? And I need all 3 of us, our number 1s.
Boom. Get out the way. I'll just talk in the lull here. Legend, wait for it.
You
Dairy.
fucking idiots.
Oh my
The same thing again?
What? No. Oh yes. Wait, you put the order wrong. Oh, you said
He did.
I put A
You-
and G.
No, but it's still the same answers. He
Oh,
just put
yeah.
a different order. That's incorrect. So
legend.
I want,
Wait for
I'm
it.
saying, I
Dairy.
want points just for us being stupids again.
on the
You
first
pissed at the Wonder Twins? Will fucking transform.
so
and
on the
beat your
first
ass.
question, you guys got 0 points. All 3 of us had the same book 1 year ago today. We all picked Deadly Class as our number 1 book.
Oh, see, the weird thing is that it seems like such a long time ago since we've even put that on a list.
I know it surprised me. I was like, oh, okay. But that was the time when it was really
Yeah,
good.
when it just came back.
Number 2, question number 2. So towards the end of last year, I believe it was episode 75, we talked about our best new series of 2017. What was our number 1 best new series of 2017? I need Garrett's, Alex, and mine. Best new series. Now, our criteria for that was that it had to have started in 2017 and that it was an ongoing and not just a mini, I believe. No, that's not true. It could be anything. Because I remember we talked about Batman White Knight. That's when I brought up that it's only made 2 issues, so I didn't put it on the list. But it did have to start in 2017. That was the criteria.
I don't know why I keep trying to put my phone away. I'm going to have to use it again.
I know.
While they are doing that here, Deadly Class was our number 1 book
That
last year.
boggles me.
Not
'cause
even our top 5 this year.
That's not even like in my top 10.
I feel like I'm wrong. So wrong.
Well, like you said, there's 3 points possible per round as long as you get one of the 3 right. And you both got 2, the same 2. Marvin picked me. No, I don't know why I said Marvin because I have it down as Marvin. Royal City. Alex picked Royal City, so you both got those right. But Garrett got his wrong. Alex said you put Injustice 2.
Yep.
Incorrect. And you said that you picked
Shit, I just turned it off to Black Monday Murders.
Black Monday Murders. That's incorrect. You picked Generation Gone.
Oh, yeah. GG. Of course, we'd forget that. It hasn't been out in 5
I know,
months, 6
God,
months.
that was such great. With the same artist is doing Scarlet Spider right now.
Really?
So good. Well, I did a 2-issue arc. So good.
So 2-2 on the final round here. The final question. Now, this is going to be a little weird, this question here, because the first year we said our top 5s, but we didn't rank them. So instead, I have to, because otherwise I can't really say which one was our number 1. I'm just going to say, what's the last book you mentioned as your top 5 last year? I mean, the first year we did the show, 2016.
Holy fudge.
Alex, Garrett, and me. So it would have been 2016, episode number 4.
Man, that's
This
tough.
is still New 52 era?
No. It would have just turned over to
you're
Rebirth.
right.
He was right before. Yeah, because my son was still in the hospital when Rebirth happened. That would have been in May.
Rebirth
we
came
started
in May
this
2nd,
show.
I think.
We started the show in May, so it would have been the year we started. I mean, we
No,
started the
it started
show
in June.
Yeah, so Rebirth would have happened, right?
It would have been a month into Rebirth.
Ongoing.
Dude, I can't remember books that came out
That
then.
hurts my brain. I feel like I'm in a time loop.
So what
I'll
would
give you guys a hint.
Yeah, please, God.
They're all still ongoing right now.
what would
So it's a book, and we all still get these books. So you've been reading this book for 2 years. I need 3.
Oh, okay.
Everybody.
No, we didn't all have the same book. It was just that one time because you weren't reading Deadly Class then, so it wouldn't have been Deadly Class.
He actually talks about it. He talks about, hey, don't give me spoilers. And then actually a year later, when we talk about our new ongoing number ones that we enjoy, Garrett had just caught up at that point, so that's why he picked on his list.
Yeah, and I got to think of
How many of those did you read in a row? Because you said he read Saga, you read 50-some issues. You
You're
read
at 45. I read the first 20. I mean, the 21 plus the new issue 22. I did that over the course of like 2 weeks and spend one day.
Hang on, I got
5.
Yeah, that's about right. Okay.
Wonder what your reading average per comic was that day. You could have like had a baseball card for reading Saga.
And generally, in an hour, I can read 6 books, depending on how wordy it is.
or at Boyce. Nobody got any points.
Yeah, you try looking back. You know how much I've
What'd you
drank
put?
since 2016?
What'd you put?
I put Superman Daily Class.
Oh,
And
I've
Justice
read-
is on this list somewhere for me. I know it.
So in 2016, episode number 4, the last book that you mentioned, and I assume if it's at the last of your list, it's probably number 1. It probably wasn't, but when I heard you guys talking about the book, I was like, it sounds like this is your favorite book at the time. So it's 2-2. You guys didn't get any, so we're going to end this round as a tie. It is Alex and Garrett have the same book. You want to guess what it is? You
Old
guys
Man
have the same
Logan.
book? Old Man Logan.
Oh shit!
This was Jeff Lemire.
After it goes, you and I have the same one. It's like, oh, Bill.
This was Jeff Lemire's peak when he was running that book. So,
And then Sorrentino left to say, "Let me draw 4 covers for Secret Empire."
and mine at the time was Lazarus. So, 2016 seems so long ago. 2 years, huh?
That's a fucking long time.
They're still going on though. So, I mean, Lazarus has changed, right? It's a now quarterly book, and we're at a point now where it's on a break. And Old Man Logan has gone through some changes twice, right? 2 different
Did
teams.
you guys read 28?
No, not yet.
Oh,
21.
get ready of
Lazarus. That was one of those books that was on my list of what could be on this top 5. And I thought Lazarus has only been back for 3 issues.
2.
I thought he came back at 26, 27, 28. So 3.
27,
But then if I did like the X plus 66, I was like, well, that doesn't really count the separate transaction. So
The last round, you guys are just gaining points in my heart. Like I said, it might be a little weird, but we're good enough on this show where, congratulations, Garrett, since you won the first round, and you guys tied the second round, I'll say we'll give it to you.
so I won the game.
Yeah, the last round, all it's going to be is
You fluffing our pills?
the last round is called Memories.
Oh shit!
And
do I need to write stuff down on my phone?
no,
Okay, I found
we'll
it.
just talk about it. I wanted to know if you guys had a favorite moment of the show. I mean, we did a show for 104 episodes, right? 167 if you count all the rest of them, right, Garrett?
Yes.
And it's been a long time, and I just wanted to know, do you have a favorite memory?
I have one.
Yeah.
The one where we all almost fell on the floor pissing ourselves because I was doing Rocky quotes during
that
my
was-
comic book court.
That was the first thing that came into my mind.
Oh my god, that was so good.
The Gang Gets Hot. You can watch
Wanna
that
see
on
what-
YouTube, or you can listen to it.
We're so fucking hot in that.
It
in the
was
building.
so hot. You guys don't even understand. Behind the scenes, like balls were sticking to both legs. Like it was hot.
When you watch that video, and I'm curious, there's still a lot of light out. Did we do that during the day, that show? Why was it so hot?
That wasn't Thanksgiving, was it? Where we're eating
No.
wings? Okay.
comic book court, I don't know. Might have been during the summer though. Might have been lighter out later.
And so we used to do our show earlier. Do you remember what
it
number
on
that was at?
Wednesdays.
No. What do we see your show? What time?
Well, we used to do it Wednesdays
Yeah,
because I would be off Wednesdays. We would do our show at like 8:00.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. And we would try
But
to
sometimes if it's a specialty thing, we do it on a Saturday.
Here or
don't-
there, though.
Yeah, I don't know. There was more light out, so I was kidding.
I think one of my favorite memories would actually be our Thanksgiving show where we did do the chicken wing challenge, playing a game and see who could eat your wings the hottest. Watching Marvin die, eating those Infernos, of course. Garrett and I, champs.
You know what?
That's why we got to go. We got to do B-dubs this year because they have way
We all
hotter wings.
we all need to die from.
You know what?
Second degree
There
burn.
was kind of forget mango, the mango habanero one they had. So when we did it on the show, I remember being like, "Man, these are really good." I remember you can hear me on the show being like, "These are really good," and I bought them just to try them, and it was too hot to like enjoy. But I think just because I was like eating all those other wings that are just like were hot, and that one's the only one that had flavor, that I was like, "Man, this is really good."
like a tolerance.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good show. I think my favorite moment of the show is I'm going to cheat a little bit and say it's two of them because they're kind of the same, both Christmas episodes, Christmas party, where we went out to the restaurant. We had a little buddy Steve and Jimmy. Oh,
Jimmy.
R.I.P.
Worst assistants ever.
Those actually, I was gonna say it's the ones that aren't just the regular show that I enjoy, like the Day Tripper book club one. That was a good one, but it was a more of an emotional. Papa P over here cried a little bit, teared up in front of the bros.
I think we all did. And
It
then
was intense.
there's an episode for Halloween. Remember, we were around that campfire and we were telling some scary books to read, and it really is those shows. And when you think about it, also like a TV show, right? The ones that are like the Halloween episode, the Christmas episode, are really because it's like they go all
specials.
out, and that's what we do too. So if you want to go back and listen to those, I actually do think those are great episodes where we
Because it's about us. It's getting to know us, and that's
Yeah.
what I think is important.
listen to that Back Matter episodes. It's one of the best episodes we ever done about
And
Christmas.
let's just do a little plug here. Our next episode of Back Matter is going to scare the shit out of you.
It'll be coming soon within a month here because I'm taking a summer vacation. We need something to fill the time. So, number 2, not just a moment, but like what aspect of the show is your favorite thing? Like, what do you like doing about this show?
You know what I think my favorite thing about this whole idea of doing a podcast with you guys is just to sit and talk books and to actually get to spend time with you guys. Where we used to spend all the time, all sorts of time together, going to movies or just hanging out at the comic book store, what have you. We all used to work together. And I don't see you guys as much. So at least every week I get to talk to you I talk to you every day. But to have the Tuesday nights or Monday nights or whatever night we decide to do with the forecast, to get to talk to you guys and just say stupid stuff about Garrett or make fun of Marvin
to say.
or make fun of Marvin for something, or you guys tell me that I'm too serious, which is generally fairly true. And then to actually get to spend this evening. Like, I look forward to Thursday nights because it's time I get to hang out with you guys, have a couple beers if we choose to, drink a Diet Coke, or just chat. I've had so many times we've ended the show and then we still end up sitting there talking for another hour. So for me, it's getting to spend time with you guys when we have other real lives also, but that we make time to be together.
I think, kind of going off of that, I think I look forward to that. Obviously our rapport, like we're best friends. But I also look forward to when we're talking about books, like we're not bullshitting you, and you can feel that. Like me listening to Marvin and Alex talk these books, and yes, myself, obviously I'm going to blow my own horn, but what? Jesus, you guys, don't make so mature. Yeah, but I mean, these guys know what they're talking about, so it's not like when I read a book and I'm like, God, I don't know how I felt about that. I love coming in here, and it's kind of like dissecting a comic book, and I get to hear the opinions of these guys, and I know I'm going to take their opinion into consideration because they're as much seasoned comic book veterans as I am, as how long I've read books, basically. Well, for the most part, and that's what I look forward to. Is I think that we all have a voice and an opinion for these books, but I also trust these voices and opinions. And obviously, we never always agree on a book. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we're at each other's throats, like you're fucking dead wrong. But I think that's kind of the point. If one person really enjoyed it, and another person didn't, I want to know why. That's what we dissect here on the show. We're trying to explain why this book should be read or why this book should be avoided at all costs. I really look forward to just kind of getting to the meat of the comics.
Going off of what you said, and I do have a different favorite thing, but it's just a comment on what you said. I do like that when we come in here and I find out, like I do, like you said, I find out that we all agree on something. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm not crazy. Like I did, like this is really like what I get out of this book, and it really comes true for you guys too. But also, like when we disagree on a book, and I've heard feedback, people saying like, when they come in the show, they're a little intimidated because they're like, man, those guys, they really know what they're talking about, and you come on there and they're gonna let you know what they think about a book, but it's never like. And it's never like attacking each other and be like that. Like it might sound like that, but we really are three great friends. And when guest host one decides to stop by, to him too. But like when we talk about those books, even back when it was just like you said, Google Hangouts, and when we used to talk around the table, it was the same thing. And then afterwards, we're all making a joke about tooting your horn. It's just, that. I mean, that's the way our friendship is. And so when you hear that on the show and we're disagreeing, I think we all understand that like. We can be critical of what other people think, but still accept what they think. And I think all the time you hear me say in the show, like, I don't think it's for me, but like, it's for you, it's fine. But I think like this is what I don't like.
When it comes to Garrett's games, then you just shit all over.
That is for humor. 100%. I actually did, when I listened back to that Riddle game, I actually did really like it. Yeah. But at the time,
we needed to
amp it up. The thing that I really like about this show, and it's not about me, and actually is seeing that over the course of now going into year 3, that you two kind of come into your own with the same thing like you were saying, like looking at books critically and like kind of like looking at understanding what you like about a book and not just being like, I think I said that when we first started the show, that was another rule I made. I was like, we cannot just say this book is bad and it's not good. Like figuring out what you don't like about it, and that's what we're going to talk about. You can't just be like, your book's not good. Be like, why don't I like about it? And I think it really does help when we read comics now. It's you figuring out what you like and what you don't like. And even like with the games or any kind of these special episodes that we have, if you hear the three of us on these mics, it's like we were born to do this. Like especially you two on these mics. When I hear you guys on these mics, I'm always like, these guys were meant to do this. We should have done this sooner, and I can't see a time when we're going to stop. So that's the best thing about this show.
This train is a rolling.
Speaking of which, then the third and final question of this round for memories is making future memories. What's your future hopes for where this goes into year 3?
I would say, we've had a lot of amazing guest hosts on our show. And, we're just getting so many creative partners involved with our show that I just want more. I think this community that, especially coming out of the 605 that we're creating, I think it's really fun, but we're reaching out to how many countries are we in? 50, 67, whatever. Like, whatever the freaking number is. That is so cool that, people are listening to us and that we're creating this community. But yeah, I would love for us to just have more guest hosts, get some people that have been in the industry. We've talked to some that already have. And it's really fun, because we read from an outside perspective of what a writer or an artist is trying to portray, but to actually get into the mind of those creators, that's exciting. And I think if you kind of notice that we've been getting more guest hosts over time, it's just more fun to get a big variety of guest hosts.
I think the thing I'm looking forward to in our future, and it's actually more of a near future, is our Siouxpercon. We're going to be there for all 3 days. We've got our first live show in front of an audience. I'm just excited to hopefully give you guys a good time. And for all the charisma and character that all 3 of us bring and our guest hosts who will be there, I just want to entertain people, because that's what the whole point of us doing the show is not only to spend time with each other and to dissect these books and to have some laughs and have some beers, but it's to give you guys, the listeners, and at that point in time, the audience, something to enjoy, something to look forward to, and something for us to strive for is to be good entertainers.
I think what I'm looking forward to most of year 3 is trying to stretch ourselves creatively, see what we can do, especially with that Siouxpercon episode, see how we do that. And even like you said, bringing on guests and seeing how we meld with them. But even in year 2, we started the forecast, right? And that wasn't even something on our radar. So one day I believe we would talk about solicits or the week's books coming out, and I was like, this should be a show. And we started doing the show. Things like that, special episodes that we could do, this TMNT you guys have been talking about.
Of course.
But even maybe one day bring it back, and I'm not opposed to it. It just takes a lot of time. That's why it's on pause right now, that video show, because I actually did really like, while I was doing it. It's just, it takes a little time to do it. Getting into being more of a show, like Alex was saying, more stuff for people to enjoy, and whatever we can do. And I think we're at a point now where the ball's rolling. And so hopefully, if you enjoy this show, more is coming, and maybe even more, check out that YouTube page. More shows might be coming out there. I know we've been kind of talking about like random things that might be going on there. And
I think something that we have attempted to do in the past 2 months was to put our poll lists on Facebook. I haven't done it very much lately, but I think that's a good thing for us, nothing else. Because if we do it anyway amongst the three of us, give everyone the opportunity to see, hey, is Garrett still going to be pulling Crude number 3? Or is Alex going to attempt to get Weatherman number 2?
Yeah. I mean, we started doing that for a little bit to see it as an experiment, and we had some people commenting, but we really do want it to be like you said, like, Garrett might get a book that we never talk about on the show. And so, Gasolina, for instance, and like if he was posting it there, you could talk to him about Gasolina. I mean, Garrett and Alex and I don't think are really opposed to, if you ever want to reach out to us on social media or through our email address or leave a voicemail to talk about things that we don't normally talk about on the show. And we can, we do read more than we actually talk about on the show. So speaking of which, WednesdayComics605@gmail.com. Send us an email and let us know what's your favorite book of the year? Oh, I mean, the last 12 months. Or send us a voicemail. 605-215-1849. Send us a voicemail. Let us know what you what you want to hear about in year 3. Let us know. Maybe you got some ideas. Roll the ball a little bit in our court, and we'll take it and throw that hoop for that 3. Who knows? Throw that.
The way your story was, we were doing an alley-oop and not shooting a 3.
Twitter. Sorry.
He's checking the Twitter sphere.
My son woke up, so I was wondering.
Damn it, Alex, you're too loud.
Sorry.
Twitter at Wednesday Comics or at Alex Pastrello at, is that your name?
That is
thrown at Urat2188 or at Marvin_Saguero at Pastrami News. I think he's dead though.
He did something a couple weeks ago.
And you can find us on
talking about the Winter Olympics on there.
It'll be Facebook.com/Wednesday Comics Podcast. And you can like Alex said, look on there for a poll list. Post what if we didn't post anything that week, you post it. Get this conversation started. We'll respond to it. We're all on.
I know we got one fan that reads that Aqua Guy book. I don't know if it's any good.
Aqua
though.
Dude?
Aqua.
Yeah. I don't know. I heard it's fair. I haven't heard it's good or that it's bad. It's just fair.
It's okay. That doesn't look like I'm interested in that book then.
So let us know what you're picking up.
I get it.
And by the way, also, speaking of Garrett was saying all the guests that we've had on, make sure you go to and support them while I'm plugging people here. Dylan Jacobson had a new his Champions issue 3 just came out. Go to Cafea. Is it a Cafea? No, Last Episode Shop. Both locations in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. If you want to pick that up, it'll soon be in Comixology. When I checked, because I was going to buy it, wasn't on there yet, but I'm sure it's going to be on there soon. He's on a tour right now, so he's not available in Sioux Falls, but he will be back soon as he's done with that. So he might be coming to a town near you. Just go to his website, DylanJJacobson.com, and see where he's at, or follow him on Twitter. Same handle there, Dylan J. Jacobson, and see where he's at. Comic Book Genie, Mikey, make sure you go to his website and see what he's doing and look at his art, and follow him on Instagram also, by the way, Comic Genie. He's doing some great stuff over there. And Sarge America, follow him on YouTube and on Twitter, and he's posting videos over there. And as always, rootsoftheswampthing.com, John Boylan, your definitive source for all things Swamp Thing. Like we were saying before, Swamp Thing popping up all over the place. Make sure you know about him. And make sure you go, and he's asking right now for writers for Holland Files number 3. So that'll be coming out soon. Keep on DC World Swampy on Twitter, at facebook.com/rootsoftheswampthing. Make sure you follow him on both. That way you know when that issue 3 is in pre-order, so you don't miss an issue. But we had a book club coming out, right, Garrett?
Wednesday Comics League of Extraordinary Gentle People proudly presents
Saga of the Swamp Thing. Speaking of the swamp, we will be talking about Alan Moore's first book about Swamp Thing, about how his take on the character that'll be coming up soon, the second week of July. So make sure to give your feedback in Wednesday Comics 605 at gmail.com or 605-215-1849. Leave us a voicemail after you read that book. And let us know what you think. Siouxpercon, speaking of which, September 28th, 29th, and 30th, as Alex mentioned before, we'll be doing a live show. So make sure you come out, get a weekend pass. It's $30, $10 a day. It's not that much for what you're going to be. There's a lot of people there. Like Phil Hustler will be there. We're bringing Phil Hustler to Siouxpercon. Shay Fontana will be there. Shay Fontana's right now blowing up. She's got a lot of things going on right now. And so make sure you get your pass. Show up, and you'll see the aforementioned guests around there all the time, and you'll want to show up for the Wednesday Comics After Dark show, and be around for the shenanigans, and stay around for the community. Make sure you subscribe to the show on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, and Spotify. There's others too, but those are the main four. And make sure, like we were talking about before, we were looking for stuff to do in the future. And if you enjoy this show, we would appreciate you spreading the word. Let's get to every single country in this great world of ours. And let's make sure the Avatar, the green, can listen to this show no matter what piece of green he's connected to.
Even in the space.
Even in space. Let your friends know about the show. Spread the word of Wednesday Comics, because we'll be around. And we'll make sure to give it our all. My name is Marvin.
I'm Alex.
And I'm Garrett.
Hey, everyone. Keep sharing those pages.
Hey, once again, late to the party. Hopefully not late for your guys' show. This is Sergeant America. Just wanted to tell you that, of course, Wildstorm is the book to be reading right now. We're right on 14, of course, of 24, so ongoing enough for me. If that one wouldn't count, then I would probably have to say, as I was looking through my collection, Manifest Destiny, where we're at number 35. They're actually in South Dakota, so I mean, you should be reading it right now for that reason, if nothing else, or at least the Dakotas. I did really want to jump on Old Man Hawkeye. Everything about it looks good. I did read some of that, but of course, you gotta always pick one. So, take your fill on what we got out there. Too many good books, but once again, you guys are doing great. Keep taking that show out. Keep reading your books. Catchphrase.